I caught up with a friend over the weekend, and he expressed to me a tremendous sense of frustration. The headlines, the stories coming out of the Middle East, the atrocities committed against the Jewish people, the senseless suffering of civilians, the waves, the tidal wave of misinformation, the disinterest in facts and logic and context. And what he really expressed was this feeling of helplessness, wanting to do something to move the narrative forward, to contribute positively to this crisis that is spreading around the world, and feeling that there was just nothing for him to do. And I said, honestly, I said, I know exactly what you feel like. Because, yeah, yeah, I want to use my voice too. I want to. I want to be able to communicate to people. I want to get them to understand the full story. And so many people are just resistant to this. It's enormously frustrating. And it feels like we're not doing anything. We're not accomplishing anything. We're not making a difference. And that's a fallacy because there is actually a biblical precedent for exactly this kind of situation. It's the story of Joseph, the son of Jacob, who was sold into slavery by his brothers, sent down to Egypt, where he was then falsely accused of an adulterous molestation against his master's wife and was sentenced to prison and served 12 years in a dungeon. Imagine what it was like for him, a profoundly spiritual person who had been mistreated, abused, taken advantage of, falsely accused, falsely imprisoned. Imagine his prayers. God, I could be serving you so much better if you would let me out of here. I could be doing good for the world if you would just set me free. And every day, another month, another year, 12 years in the dungeon. And then what happened? Overnight, he's called out by Pharaoh because coincidentally, he had interpreted a dream for Pharaoh's butler. And now Pharaoh has a dream and no one can explain it. And this butler, he remembers this Jew in the dungeon who could interpret dreams. Pharaoh pulls him out. And not only does Joseph interpret the dream, but he takes the initiative to describe a course of action that can avert a catastrophe. And Pharaoh is so impressed that he appoints him his viceroy, makes him the most powerful man in the world. Overnight, he goes from being a prisoner in a dungeon to having the power to avert an international, a global humanitarian crisis. You don't even have to go back over 3,000 years. More recently, the story of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison. But during that time, he became a national hero, a source of inspiration, an icon, so that when he was finally released, he was able to stop a bloodshed. He was able to stop a civil war. He was able to try to steer his country on a positive path forward when such reconciliation would have seemed impossible. Now, the sages say, don't disdain any person and don't despair of anything, because there is no person without his hour and no thing without its place. And we can apply this to ourselves. It may feel like we're not accomplishing anything. It may seem like we're not making a difference. But one, we might be. We don't know the impact we might be having. You impact one person, who knows what ripples can go out from there. And we could be preparing ourselves for that moment when opportunity arises, that we can make a tremendous difference, a difference that we might never have imagined we could actually make. And in the meantime, there are things we can do. Prayer is a powerful source of influence. We have no idea how it impacts the world, but it definitely impacts us, transforms us into more focused, more confident, more secure individuals. Acts of kindness, a kind word, a kind gesture, showing respect for other people, smiling at strangers, saying good morning to people, looking for opportunities to hold a door, to let someone pull in front of you in traffic, maybe do something even more substantial, more significant. Engaging people in conversation. We want to change people to see the world the way we do. We can't just bludgeon them. We can't just attack them. We have to speak civilly. And it's hard to do when you know you're right. When you encounter people who just refuse to listen to reason, it can be enormously frustrating. But if we can keep our patience, and if we can try and make that effort, and certainly if we're doing it online and social media, we might not influence the people we're trying to reach, but other people might listen to our conversations and they might be influenced. And finally, looking for every possible opportunity for self-improvement. How can we make ourselves better? How can we be more disciplined, more thoughtful, more sensitive, more aware, more mindful of our contact, our speech, our thoughts, our actions? We can make a real difference in the world. We can change ourselves. We can change the world in ways that we might not even notice. And above all, we can prepare ourselves for those moments when they arise. There's much more to say on this topic, and I hope to follow this up with another video. But for now, stay mindful. And remember, never give up hope, because we can make a difference. And the effort we put into it will make a difference for the better.